Ugh, this is one of the reasons why I have no money. I spent all my money on a goddamn car. And right after I bought that, I bought my last gun for a while. Whoopsie, zoomed in and zoomed out. Alright, which was the, AK up there, top one. That is the first AK I bought below it, which is a Norinco Mak-90. I'm going to try and do a comparison of these guys and contrast, because there's a lot of positives about one and a lot of positives about the other, but a lot of negatives about one and a few negatives of the other. I do tend to feel like the Norinco Mak-90 is the overall better AK, but the meaner looking of the two is definitely the Yugo M70 AB2. Both shoot pretty nice. I've only put, I think, about 50 rounds through the Yugo and probably about 100 through the Mak-90 because I don't get to the range as much this year as I wish I could have. One of the main differences, obviously you can tell, is furniture. One's got synthetic and an underfolder. The other one has horrendous piece of shit, but I shouldn't say piece of shit. It works flawlessly because it's a butt stock. It's a wooden buttstock. How can it fuck up? It doesn't. It handles recoil really well, but it's hideous. Oh man, my dog took a shit the other day, and I swear to God, it looked like that. I think that's what they did. They had dogs take giant shits, and then they would just laminate them, lacquer them, dry them out, and then screw them onto the end of these Mak-90s. But they had to be able to import them, so hey, you do what you do. If you want to have dog shit laminated, stuck to the back of your AK so you can import guns, awesome. Do it. Because that is an awesome AK when all said and done. Oh yeah. Wood, blah blah. Synthetic, underfolder. Main difference. Other differences are we have this little button right here. That button right there, you have to push that down and that in to get the dust cover off, which I like better because it makes it feel more secure. I've never had this one come off on my Mak-90, but it's kind of nice having that extra little feature there that you know it's not coming off. I mean, there's no way you can accidentally depress that while using it. So, +1, +2. And then we get to up here a little bit, and we've got the grenade launcher sight, which in all intents and purposes is a novelty, but it looks cool, so I like that. So plus another one, so that looks like the Yugo's at a +3 versus the Mak-90 at 0. The Mak-90, let me see if I can do this. Okay, the Mak-90 has, for a front sight, that closed front sight. It's got the little bonnet going over top of it, so when you're shooting it, you've got a top little spot, yeah. So I definitely like that, whereas the Yugo Mak-90, or Yugo Mak-90, the Yugo M70 has an open top sight, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it works. I mean, it definitely works. It also has a God damn it, I can't remember the name of these things. It's not a flash hider. Compensator? Is it a compensator? I think, yeah, it's a compensator. Which, if you look at it, it's slanted. It's it's slanted for a reason, because when you shoot, you know, your gun has a tendency to jump that way under fast firing, so that helps push it down, keep it steady, so you can be on target a little bit better. And get the random rounds out of the way. The other thing was the Yugo supposedly came with night sights. I believe it did, but this was made in like 84, I think is what's stamped on it, so they're burnt out. I just took a little dab of white out. Is this going to focus? Is it going to focus? I hope it does. Oh well. These are flip up and flip down, so that's what it's supposed to be like, but I didn't like that, so I flipped it up, and then I took white out on a toothpick and I filled in those holes, so I had, you know, a little bit more contrast when trying to acquire my target, and it works pretty good. I like to think that I'm the first person to ever put white paint on sights of a Yugo, but I'm probably not, so yeah, whoever wants to do that can do that too. I give you my permission, being the founder of that, even though I wasn't. So the Mak-90 sights are just, the rear sight is just a brick with a little notch cut out. Focus. Focus. It's the damn background. There we go. See? Just notch cut out. Nothing special there. Now when I flip them over, this is going to be upside down, unless I do something smart like flip them around too. Thump. Alrighty. Alright. Next is the safety selector. Oops, I didn't even put that one on film. I'm going to have problems on this side. So, safety selector on the Yugo is pretty solid. It's pretty tough to do, and when you push it down with some force, it goes past it and smacks into that, which isn't a big deal, but I like it when things sync up the way they should, so that it should just be, you know, from there to there. It's pretty tough to do with one hand if you're a thin little turd like me, because I don't have a whole lot of dexterity in my fingers. So that one's like that, and the Mak-90 is butter. I mean, it starts and stops where it's supposed to, mainly because it's got that little nub there that stops it regardless. But it's very positive, you know. You can move it pretty easily with, oops, I did it again. I wasn't focusing on the right thing. I mean, it's tough, but it's positive. When it hits, it hits. I mean, they're both good, but I'm going to give the Mak-90 a plus in that one, even though that's not a huge field of concern for most people. It's a little thing that I like. Let's see what else. Okay, next I'm going to go to charging handle. This I'm going to probably have to get my tripod out or move it forward and hook my damn camera up. Maybe do some editing, which I never do, because let's just face it, editing is shitty. It's not fun to do. So I tend to not do it. And alright, so we've got the Yugo. God damn it, I did it again. This is not a Yugo. This is the Norinco Mak-90 Sporter. And the charging handle on this one is smooth. I watched a lot of AK videos and saw a lot of people, you know, saying there's a big difference in charging handles. And I'm like, how big of a difference can there be? There can be a huge difference. This charging handle is seriously just butter. It doesn't hang up where everybody says it's, you know, it hangs up usually right there on some AKs. Well, this one doesn't hang up at all. Ever. The Yugo M70, however, has a different charging handle, and it's a lot different. Well, fuck me. Put your safety down, dickhead. Jesus. It's a lot different, and it hangs up and it's not very smooth. I'll just put it that way. It's not very smooth, and it would be really hard for me to do it with my offhand, with my pinky, if it wasn't braced up against my hip right now. So it is kind of nice though, because you can get it to stay open, and you can check your bore, see if there's anything in there or whatnot. But it's also kind of dumb because I don't want it to stick open when I'm trying to pull it back and rack one. On to triggers. Triggers make or break a gun, in my opinion, and I'm not very good at telling you what is good and what isn't. But my best opinion on it is the Yugo has a very good trigger. I like it. It's kind of gritty in the beginning, but then it finishes out pretty smooth, crisp break, and it just goes. It just works really well. So no real complaints there. It's a little bit grittier than the Mak-90. Oh yeah, by the way, the Mak-90 gets 1 point for the charging handle, so it's 3-2 if you're keeping score, and the Yugo's in the lead. So do the trigger on this, and it's beautiful. The trigger on this is phenomenal. You don't even feel it. You're squeezing a little bit, and then bam, done. Yeah, I like the Mak-90 quite a bit. If I could just change the furniture without 822R compliance bullshit. So trigger goes to the Mak-90, but both of them are really good triggers. I wouldn't make or break a sale on the trigger base between these two because they're very similar, and it might just be that I'm more used to the Mak-90 trigger since I just got the Yugo. With that said, breakdown of an AK is essentially the same except for that one. I'm not going to do any points for ease of breakdown or difficulty of breakdown because they're AKs. So basically it's a 3-3 tie, and me being partial to wood grips, I'm going to go with the Mak-90 because I like the way wood feels. It's a little bit more, I don't know, if you listen, like, I don't know if you guys will hear that, but there is a little bit of play here. There's none up top. And then on the Yugo, even with a bunch of tinfoil shoved in there, sorry, I got excited. But yeah, as you can hear, there's a lot of play in there. I stuck a little tinfoil in the caps there to try and help, square it up, keep it a little centered and bullshit, but it didn't work that well. Top one doesn't really move much. It kind of moves like that. I have been thinking about getting, that's a different video altogether. We're not going to get into that bullshit. I was going to say something about tacking it up, but I don't know. I don't have the income for that right now. Excuse me. So, solidity, is that a word? Goes to Mak-90. Even though this is still pretty solid, it still has some wobbly parts. If you can see that, there's a little bit of play in the underfolder part, but not too much. It's still pretty solid. Once you get it pulled into your shoulder, you can't even tell. So there makes the Mak-90 at 4 versus 3 here. I was gonna make up one more. Oh yeah, maneuverability, is that the right word? I would say, because this is a fixed stock, I would say that, if you were going to lug one of these around all day, if you had a nice little 1-point sling for this guy, you can just mount it right there, and if you're not using it, just fold up the folder, underfolder, buttstock, and you know, it'd just hang from you from that. And it wouldn't get in your way, whereas the Mak-90 has the full stock, and that does get in the way if you're just trying to carry it. Even though you can sling it around your back with the sling, and it's not a big deal. So I'm going to give that to that. So we got basically a dead tie with, like I said, my bias going towards the wood grips and whatnot of the Mak-90. Plus, price point. The Mak-90 cost me half as much as that. I don't know why, but these haven't gotten that big. I think you can still get them on Gunbroker for like $6.50. I got this for less than that from a man that I know. If you watch my other vid on it, I was asking people if I should buy it, and I did buy it, obviously. It's a great rifle. It is fantastic. I think they both weigh the same. I did the cheap man scale test where I held them both and then weighed myself afterwards, and I weighed the same with and without each one. So the weight is negligible in my opinion. If it's not gonna tweak a half pound, I mean, they're under a half pound difference if I weigh myself, because there was no change on the scale, so my scale goes by half pound increments. And yeah, I say go with the Mak-90 if you're going to buy one of the two. You can change out the buttstocks. Ironwooddesigns.com do phenomenal buttstocks and grips and pistol grips, but you have to look out for laws like the 922R compliance. You do not want to get caught with an illegal firearm ever, because then you will probably lose your permit to purchase or your right to own one. So just be cautious of that. You can do a YouTube search for 922R compliance, and I think, I can't remember who made the video. I'm so dumb when it comes to remembering stuff. But they have a whole list of things that you can swap out to make a gun 922R. Whereas if you leave it the way it was imported, it already is. But if I changed one thing out on it, you know, like if I wanted to change the buttstock, then it would be out of compliance unless I put on like 7 to 10 more American-made parts. Yeah. But that's a whole different chapter, and I don't know all the little ins and outs, so I'm not going to get into it. And this video is getting quite fucking long. So, AKs, I don't know why I love them. I love them. They're beautiful guns. They shoot. Little fat boy 7.62 by 39s, if you weren't aware of that. And they make big loud noises when you shoot them. Very distinct noise. And they're super reliable. I will say that when I was shooting this, and I have video of it, I just haven't put it up or edited it in. Maybe I'll throw it at the end of this video. When I was shooting this, it was probably me, but it would fire out 2 rounds in one shot. And it might have been just me not used to having this buttstock, and I might have been accidentally bump firing it off my shoulder. But it would bang bang with one pull of the trigger on my end. And that scared me, quite honestly. I broke it down, looked at it, and everything looked normal. So that has never happened with the Mak-90. The Mak-90 has never failed me, never jammed, never had any issues whatsoever. The first shot I ever took with it was at like 75 yards, and I hit dead bullseye. It was great. It was a freaking phenomenal gun, and I love it to death. I just want to change the buttstock. The Yugo, I'm not sold on it. I love the way it looks. I love the trigger. The charging handle maybe just needs to be broken in a little bit. Is stiff to me. There's a lot of play in it. But this would be a really nice gun to, you know, tack up. Put a bunch of mods on, you know, quad rail, put an AFG2 on it. You know, all that kind of fun stuff that everybody likes to do. I just don't know if I want to do it. I think AKs function the way they are just perfectly. And yeah, I don't have the funds. That's the big thing. I don't have the funds. I'm making excuses saying they function the way they do perfectly, because they do function perfectly. They just... I don't know. Why do I just ramble? You guys need to shut me up. You need to like call me up and say, "Are you making a video, Acid Little?" I'll be like, yeah, and they're like, shut the fuck up. And I'll be like, oh shit, this video is like an hour long. I should probably shut up. So, with that said, I'm going to shut up. One last thing. If you have the opportunity to buy a Mak-90, buy it. These things are awesome. If you want something a little grittier, a little underfolder, a little more attractive looking, I like the Yugos. I don't like those crappy ass Wasser 10s. The wood furniture on them is like sandpaper. They don't have good dimples on them where the magazines are held in there. They wobble. Some of them are canted. There's just a whole bunch of little things that, you know, if you're serious about an AK, you probably will pass on those. And they don't make things like they used to. Like I said, this one had a 1985 stamp on it. 84, sorry. I'll see if I can get that in the frame. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. You can't see it for shit. But it says right in there, 1984. And that's it. That's all I got. Buy an AK. If you've never shot an AK, always were interested in one, get your hands on one. You'll love them. Even all the people that love ARs, they just don't want to say they like AKs because they're mad that such a cheap, you know, commie-looking gun can work so flawlessly all the damn time. I do have an AR, so anybody that says I'm just an AK fanboy, you can suck my asshole because it's really dirty and it needs a good licking, and because I have an AR. So, with that said, peace out. I just said peace out.